Hey, John, I was curious about you. Now that you've had some experience playing with zero fans in the crowd. What are the challenges? Is it harder on a young team, and do you guys get lost in the moment and not even realize there are no fans in the building?
I was talking to a friend of mine today. If you have an experienced team, not playing exhibition, not having your normal buy games to learn and figure it out and get their feet wet, having no fans in a building, maybe you're like us where it has a big effect on the game. If you got a veteran team, it's not that big a deal. And that's why the guys that had veteran teams were like, let's play, my God. And so it's had an effect. But our thing, again, we had a chance to win both games we lost. We had a chance to be up 12, maybe more, both teams that we played against. You guys will come back and say, well, you're just not making shots. Well, it's like a fan would say that, just because that's all you are as a fan. Not you guys, because you're really not fans. A couple of you are really not fans. But it goes deeper. Why are you laughing, Larry? Some other guys aren't laughing. But you got to say, are the right guys getting the shots, perimeter shots? Are they getting them in rhythm? Are we playing in a way that would lead to that? And that's what I come back to, because in practice, they shoot it well. So then you say, well, the game, no, what's happening in my mind is, and here at Kentucky, everything's in pencil. You can look at last year's practice plan as a teacher, but I'm putting in drills now for this team, okay, that we've never done before. This is a different group that needs something different. I've got to light a fire for them to play differently than they've ever played. I also tell you that you all know how much I hate to lose, and it takes me 24 hours of grieving to get over the loss. But there were things that came out of our last game. 5 minutes to go. We got a 4-point lead with the ball twice. Now, you guys have watched my teams historically. We lose that game? Normally, no. And so then you got to say, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. But we can't get away from what's the best thing we're doing. We're defending, we're rebounding, we're blocking shots, we're scrambling. All right, there are things that we're going to try to do, but we can't get away from what I said at the beginning. This has to be a defensive team. They roughed us up in the second half, and we weren't able to combat it. So we make practices a little rougher. But there are a couple things we're doing yesterday and today that you could see, and I showed them tape. This is another team that needs to show tape. Here's how I want you to play. We cannot have ball stoppers. You can't think you're just going to dribble and you're playing one-on-one while four guys watch. You're not playing that way here. The maturity of the team. Sometimes the lack of maturity, like we got great kids. These are good young people, but they're immature. Their response to things isn't always what a mature player would do. But that's normal here. So, but we got work to do.
Hey, Coach. As someone who's been around John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and you know them very well, they're both going through a lot of injuries, and now they're both in Houston. Can you tell me something that you know about them personally and why you think it's going to be successful in Houston?
Well, first of all, they care about each other. They have a bond. They're family. And that's going to help the process. The second thing is both are playing for something. And they know they need each other for each of them to get what they're trying to get out of a situation. They want to win. They understand winning matters. They understood that here. As they go forward, when they're healthy, they're both all-stars. It's just what it is. They care about one another. They're playing for something. They're playing to win. They're playing to prove. Now, for both of them, the people in Houston should understand it's not going to be right away because they haven't played for a while. It's going to take them a little time to get the rust off, but I think they're fine. They're both good people. Both having emotions about them, but you kind of want that. Like, we want to win. Let's do this together.
Gary Tipton, you're up. Larry Vaught, you got after him.
Don, I wonder what you saw from Jacob Toppin in the Kansas game that led you to say, he's moved up towards being in the rotation.
Made plays, ran, played with great energy. When you bring a guy off the bench, he's got to lift your team, not take your team back. If you're playing for yourself and you're not thinking in those terms, you'll come in to just try to get yours, or can't play that way coming off the bench. You go and you try to lift us, and then you come in practice and you look at the guys that are in front of you and you say, I want to start. I'm going to play harder than this guy. I'm going to be more efficient than this guy. Let him come off the bench. And that's what I told him and the other guys. I mean, it's not, I'm here to coach everybody. So we got to do this together. You got to accept how you have to play for our team to win and for you to be effective. But the other side of it is, like every year I've done this, it's kind of been the same. There have been guys that have started early, but as the year went on, you looked and you said, wait a minute, we got to do what we're seeing. The other thing that happens, which I already talked about at length, every season there's something new I have to do. There may be new drills that a team has an area that if they get better in this area, we're going to be fine. But they got to get better in this area. And so there are things like that. But Jacob gave us great energy. And again, the energy you're going to have in these games is coming from within. There are no fans. And we had 3,000 in our game with Richmond. And literally, because the building is so big, you didn't know we had any fans. Just how it is. So that energy's got to come within. And if you're walking in the game like you're cool, then the other guy plays hard, you're behind him. It's just how it is. Or I got to show this or that, and just go fight and play. And I'll be honest with you, that'll change as we go forward. It will.
Larry Vaught to you. John Hale, you'll be next.
John, sorry for getting tickled a while ago with what you were saying and laughing. Didn't mean to distract you. But when you look ahead to January and you envision what you think this team is going to look like, what do you still think by the time you get there you're going to have with this team that you like so much?
Well, none of us know. I mean, look, last year we lost to Evansville. Should have lost to Utah Valley State down at half. Lost to Utah and spanked us out in Vegas. Lost to Ohio State, but played better. Gave us hope. Sometimes teams have to hit rock bottom before they listen, especially if they're immature. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not here like, I got to figure out, how do I help them get better? How do I help them mature? How do I hold them accountable to a standard that an adult adheres to, not a child? How do we get them? They want to move into a man's world. Well, you can't be a child moving into a man's world. And so there are things aside from basketball that we got to do. And, I look at this and my whole thought process is, okay, here's where we got to go. Let me just give you this example. I told you we spent so much time just wanting to look organized. We had 10 new guys. So a lot of the stuff were actions to get us started. Okay, we ran the action that got it started. They didn't know what to do after that because I said play. You know what play means to them, Larry? Catch the ball, dribble it twice, and do a fadeaway. That's playing to them. That's their workout guy. They do that. They pick up the tennis ball. They kick the volleyball. and they do a step back three that Bank misses, but it's okay. It's a workout. I now am saying, okay, here's an action to get us started. And here's how you play basketball. I did it with tape work yesterday to show them. They watched our team last year and literally they laughed. They know when they watch that and see how we're playing. But again, we were the same last year. We were so unsure of ourselves. I'm really, I'm the one that usually forgets because the staff has to remind me we were the same way last year. So just know we were the same way. And the year before, and the year before, and the year before, except the year we had all those kids and we did the platoon. We smashed everybody until the shot clock violation wasn't called, but we were smashing everybody. Why you laugh, Jer? That's what it is. Come on, you were at that game. And so that, you look at that and you say, all right, how do we do this? I'm not afraid of it. I'm not sure, Larry, where it ends up going. I know where I want it to go, what I want us to look like, a great defensive team, a fast team that's unselfish, in the half court, an execution team that sets screens. We set none against Richmond and very few against Kansas, a team that can throw it to the post. We have post presence. Folks, if you don't have post presence, your team is a fraud. If you can't throw it to that post at times, we can. Now, the other thing is, how do we get them to play together? We demand it. How do you do that? I'm doing some different drill work. We're putting in different things to make them, and it basically forces them to play the right way. And then when they play the right way, you're encouraging them. And when they do it the other way, it's a turnover. Go. Other team gets it.
All right, we'll go John, Kyle, and then Adam, and then we'll see where we're at on time.
Cal, I can remember about this time in that title year, Marcus Teague getting a lot of heat for the way he was playing and whether it was going to work. How difficult is it for freshman point guards in particular, and just how essential is it that you figure out that spot to reach your potential?
Well, Marcus Teague had a scorer's mentality. If you remember, everything was him trying to get baskets, and he held the ball too long. He picked up his dribble. He turned it over at a high rate. What does that sound like? I mean, and I've told the team, and even Davion, how we're going to play him. How do we play? If I want to go with a bigger guard, can we play Terrence? Does he have the self-discipline to play the position? We're trying. Look, the hard thing, Tommy Izzo and I talked last night. He looked at our schedule and went nuts. You are out of your mind playing all these people going forward. And I'm going to talk to the team about it again today. It is what it is. This is who we play. And so now it becomes, how do we get better as we do this? How do we know that we're improving and stay the course? Now, I told them, and I've done this over the years, and you guys know this. You guys will come and say, oh, you won 8 in a row. And I'll tell you what. Yeah, but we're 4-4 in those games. Yeah, like we're 4-4. We ain't 8-0. 4 of those games we should have lost. Well, there are other games that we lose. I'll grieve for 24 hours. And you know what? My mindset is we beat Kansas. How would I feel now? If we had done this, that, and that, and we won the Kansas game, would that have overshadowed our issues? Probably. But I still want to feel like, okay, we won that game. Now, where are my emotions? Where are my mindset? How do I stay positive? And I want my team to do the same.
Go ahead, Kyle, and then you, Adam, after that.
Cal, I was afraid you were going to laugh at me for even suggesting this, but you sort of suggested it yourself. You've got Askew and you've got Mintz who are good three-point shooters. You've got Terrence, who's a big guy who can blow by people if he makes good decisions. At Memphis, you had a year that got off to a rocky start, and you put the ball in Tyreke Evans' hands, and you guys took off like a rocket. How significant is that option of putting the ball in Terrence's hands?
It's there, but Tyrese was a great layup shooter. Great layup shooter. He didn't miss layups. And the thing that was, and I'll just give you the story. When we flipped it, I watched the tape of the game and I had the staff together. And I said, guys, you want the good news or the bad news? They said, well, give us the bad news. Well, the bad news is we put him at point guard, and 75% of the time, Tyreek had the ball in his hands. And they said, well, what's the good news? Well, after watching that, he needs it 85% of the time. And so it's every team. It's just, you figure it out as you go. I don't have a lesson plan. Everything's in pencil. All the drills, some of them are made up, that we just make up a drill and we work on it to get better. Position last year, we didn't start Emmanuel Quickly, the 25th pick of the draft, player of the year in our league, going away. And when you play games, you figure, I'm not going to panic. I mean, I'm not thrilled with our start. I'm not thrilled with our schedule, but both are what they are. So, okay, my job, how do we get better? How do I get through to some immature guys that the way you're playing is not going to work for you or us? Can't play that way now. All right, well, if I'm asking them to play different, how are my drills getting them to understand and feel it? It can't just be talk. It's, do they feel what you're saying? And not how I'm saying it or I'm loud. I mean, the individual meetings we had, it's probably the first time guys heard the truth about how they're playing ever, or were told they're not. You can't lead when you don't care about the other guys. You can't lead when you have any disrespect. They don't respect you. They're not going to follow. This isn't high school where you're the best player and whether they like you or not, they follow. Those days are done. And so, are you the first into practice or last? If you're the last into practice, no one's following you. They see you. I'm not going to follow him. You're going to be the first into practice. Are you going to, all this stuff. One of the players said, I'd like to lead, but I don't know how. And you know what? You find out none of them know how to lead. They don't know that you serve everybody else. As a leader, you're there for your team. You're the first. You show it in practice. You lead by example. You pick guys up. You help guys get better. They'll all follow you. But if you're about yourself and how I can get mine, and I'm the best player, you're not getting followed. So that's my job also. Every year, I want 12 guys to learn what it means to be a leader, that you make a difference for everybody. Then you could speak and do your stuff. I was hoping that would be Keon, but you know what? After the last game, he did take a little bit of a leadership role. For the time being, it's probably going to be staff driven. But if we're ever going to be the team I think we can become, they have to be enabled, and it has to be player driven. But you got to have leaders. You can't have everybody just let me get mine. Can't play that way.
All right, two quick ones, guys. Adam Zagora and Orlando with the foul with that one. Adam, got to unmute yourself. Still can't hear you, Adam.
Weekend. Can you just talk a little bit about how you developed your relationship with Chris Williams, who's organizing the event? What does it mean that a college event is coming back to Atlanta, and do you anticipate maybe playing in it in the future?
No, I think it's great. Chris is a good guy and trying to do good stuff in Atlanta, and we were going to play Georgia Tech, and so us being in Atlanta, they call it Catlanta. I didn't expect it to be with no fans, but it is what it is. So, and I like Atlanta. Atlanta's a great town. It really is a great town, and we're excited to be there. And look here, let me just give you. You haven't asked me about Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, if you watched our game last year, Georgia Tech had us on the ropes. We ended up going up right before half, and the rest of the time Josh had his guys competing and battling. And then there was a 2-minute swing in the second half that gave us a lead, and we just hung on. They have all their guys back except one big guy. All their players are back. They play a funky zone. They play it different ways. They play really high and wide. They'll play the 1-3-1. Teams have hurt them. You know how they hurt their zone? One of you guys that are really smart. What did you think the two teams that played against them did to hurt their zone? So I would expect that they're going to play 40 minutes of zone and think at some point we're not going to make open shots. A little bit dangerous. If you watched us in practice, we can make them, and hopefully we'll be in that mode. But they also have guards that can get by you on the bounce. This is going to be the challenge. You guys are asking me about our guards and our point guard. Look, in this game, if you can't stay in front, then it's a hard deal. Their guards bounce that ball in 2 or 3 and try to get by you and get in the lane and create. And they're a team that they're probably averaging 23s per game, maybe more, 24. And if they make 15 out of 24, then we'll go home. We'll tap them and say, hey, who's our next game? Next game ain't any easier either. But it is what it is. We got to get better. I worry about my team getting better. I worry about my team figuring it out. You know, at this early in the season, it's you win. Please listen to this. Maybe this is something, or you learn. I think I've said that 1,000 times. Early in the year, you win or you learn. Now, I may grieve as I'm learning, but you win or learn. I learned a lot the first 2 games about our team.
Go ahead, Keith, with the Falcons Outlook. You got last question.
All right, thank you. You mentioned about having leaders, and you brought up Emmanuel Quigley's name. He was known for shooting on his own and really working hard to develop. Are you seeing that from any players in this group? And who's that leader like he was to get the other players in the gym on their own working?
Well, it's on their own, maybe with the coach, grabbing a manager. But here's the thing. Even knowing the maturity of knowing that you don't go in and tiptoe shoot, you go in and a shorter workout that's a hard workout that prepares you to play great. The right kind of workout. Okay, that here are the shots you're getting. Well, those are the shots you work on. Emmanuel quickly had that down. He knew. And he would come in a gym after a game if he didn't shoot it, and he never stopped believing in himself. I keep telling these guys, if they got to get their self-confidence from me, you're not making it in this sport. You have to build your own self-confidence by individual work, spending time, earning it, knowing you deserve to play well, performing in practice, being the best we have in practice. But the last piece is you got to carry it over into games. And that's demonstrated performance. It took Emmanuel a while now to get to where he would go from this to this and then carry over in the game. But when he got it, he felt it, and it was his now. And then there was nothing I could say to ever take his confidence or build his confidence. You're great. Thanks, coach. Come on, you're better than that. Thanks, coach. He built his own. Anybody that's expecting the coach, you got to make me feel good. All right. You're going to play in a league, but it ain't the one you think. This is, you grow up, you be a man. I said it, no excuse program. Don't blame. You own your numbers. You own your performance. That was you. Yeah, but it was because of this. All right, what other excuses? Give me the 7. Just give me numbers instead of the full excuse. Tell me it's a number 2 and a number 5. Okay, that's great. I mean, so when you're inexperienced and young, they're used to having habits that you got to help them create new habits that are professional habits. We were saying this. When I went in the league, I worked out a couple guys, Tracy McGrady being one, that I was thinking about taking right out of high school. And Tracy McGrady didn't make a jump shot, a free throw. He can make layups and dunks. It was awful. And I just said, wait a minute, how in the world can we do this? Because so we don't take him. Within 3 years, anytime he shot, that ball was in. If you're in a college practice and it's you just shooting in a drill and you can only make 2 or 3 in a row, well, you're not ready for that thing up there. Those dudes would make 50 in a row, 40 in a row. And that's where I'm saying that work ethic, understanding and believing, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom. I'm not saying we've done it yet. And you may ask me after the next game, is that rock bottom? And then after the next game, is that rock bottom? I have no idea. But when they start climbing, it showed you, all right, they understood and they're getting it now. Because we got good kids who are good players, who are not the finished product by any stretch of the imagination, not even close. But they've got a chance. And if we come together, sooner would be better, but we've got time.
All right, guys, we'll end it there. Give me some time. We'll get the quotes and game notes to you later today. Thanks, guys.